If I use some of your pictures, please don't think it as I'm focusing on your hotel. I'm not. I'm just trying to show you overall what are the issues and how it has been misinterpreted and said we have compliance. You don't. You really don't. Because the requirements are so many. They take a little item, a little piece, and say, I did it. I built a ramp. Yes, you built a ramp. I agree with you. But your ramp is not compliant. You can't use it. It's non-functional. So you wasted a lot of money. When if you had put a little bit of thought into it, that ramp would have been compliant for zero extra money. So it's just a thinking process. I have actually titled this presentation as a little bit different from what Pankaj has done. I call it Challenges of Disabled Accessible Tourism in Nepal. So potential issues and recommendations. I'm going to make some recommendations. They're going to be broad theme recommendations. 2013 was access to sidewalks, because they were tearing up all these sidewalks right along in front of your territory. And the point at that time was, why can't we make these accessible at the same time? When you rebuild them, don't waste money. Ask for the technical advice, we'll be happy to give you. And there is a whole bunch of stuff. And we came to some agreement, tentative, voluntary, very ominous, cloud on the cloud, with some of these officials. This is that picture where we're shaking hands. We came to do something about it. They said, we'll do it. As best they could. No problem, right? It's a good thing. So that was based on this little Google drawing that said, I go Lajinpat mining to Narayanvir Chowk. Took some, I just shared out of Google and said it can be done. Just broad, very broad stroke. Engineering still needed, but broad stroke. Now today you're here. That, my friend, is Radisson, right? Exactly where we are, right? I took 1,000-foot diameter, not radius. I call it an area of influence. If Radisson decided to do 1,000-foot radius of influence and said, I am going to champion for disabled accessibility, watch what's going to happen. That's Shangri-La over here, 2,000 feet from Radisson. That's Ambassador, that's Mala, that's Kathmandu. The whole arc, if they took the initiative, could become accessible to some extent. And Shankar and one other thing, and Gangong? Yeah, okay, so this becomes accessible. Take the other side, Yakanyate, Annapurna, and Yellow Pagoda. They ganged up and said, look, I'm going to do my area of influence in some little way. Look at the impact. Do you see the impact? Alright, and so tomorrow your hotels, your restaurants, your own hotels, your own restaurants, other business are going to be making money, right? If you thought of it. But what did we do? Okay, here I'm just showing the different modes did. But this is what we did. Yes, we want to make it broad. But then this is in front of Ambassador. They're building it right now, right? Is that wide enough? Why aren't we doing it? Well, I'm just asking questions. Again, I'm not blaming nobody. But if you had put that forethought in here and made it like that, it would be accessible, at least width-wise, aside from other requirements. Similarly, this is right in front of Radisson, right? Our slopes aren't correct. But if Radisson had got up and said, look, by the way, you're making this, why don't you make the damn slope correct? We would have had good access. Similarly, these are other things that this is nice. I love this. This is going to Sankar. We decide that that's access to Sankar, but then we decide that we want to raise this curve. This is still part of that corridor, isn't it? Just recently built. What if we had dropped this and given it a slope? We have access at zero cost, my friend, zero cost. Sure, Radisson is quite familiar with this. This is right on your street, right? We decided to put a zebra crossing. The disabled want to go on their wheelchairs. They don't want to be carried. But then we decided to put a curve right here. If we did something here, like that, and move, in this case, that zebra crossing here, access in some form would have been provided. But that did not take anything but one telephone call from an organ, that 1,000 radius influence people to call and say, hey, why are you doing this? Do you see where I'm saying, going with this? There is no money involved. Absolutely no money. That is government building. The highest building of the head of state. What did you do? We're not thinking, isn't it? What if they drop the 6 inches and pull the grade back? I would have access. what I'm talking about. Now think of this. And suddenly I find in this paper, there's this chief secretary says, in the capital they're going to build 400 public toilets. Is there a word disabled in here? What would happen if we put that word disabled in there? We have 400 fully compliant, accessible toilets at no extra cost. And I'll show you how. But for this, if the community got up, your area of influence and said, look, you're doing this in my area, make sure these are compliant. What happens? Collective effect, isn't it? Okay, so I'm going to go here. So we're making wrong choices. I have this guy on a wheelchair. He's on a landing. You want to go to Swayambhu. Let's say he's a tourist. You brought him here. The guy said, I want to go to Swayambhu. I want to go by myself. I don't want any help. How would you go? By ramp or by stairs? Again, this is a fictitious thing. This is kind of, I'm just trying to make a point. So we teach our people that it is okay to climb up a stair on a wheelchair. Can somebody go up there on a wheelchair? This is conditioned in Nepal, I agree. But if we had come here and given him a choice and said, instead of going on a stair, you had this ramp, which one would you prefer? Ramp, obviously, right? Great. Which would have meant now the government wouldn't be building these, they would be building these because people are demanding it. And we're failing to do that. Okay? So anyway, recently we had a seminar, again hosted thanks to the American Embassy, on public policy regarding disabled and elderly accommodation. Some of you attended that. The whole idea was there to get everybody together to come up with some kind of a thematic solutions to smaller problems, not big problems, not huge issues. Okay? And I agree, we'll do this in 6 months. We'll change the doorknob, we'll change the height of something. Doable things. Okay? And I think we achieved some of that purpose. I don't know, we'll see in 6 months. I'll be back. To do all this, we can have to recognize, and you can read all this, have to realize that disabled people are financially endowed and capable of making these tourist trips. They want to come here. We just, like he said, have to tap them, but to tap them we have to have everything in place that does not make them feel like they are disabled. They are like everybody else. And so we have to think outside the box, and acquire the knowledge. Don't believe you're an expert on something that you're not. Don't be afraid, because some of it is going to come totally free for you. Absolutely free. So I kind of see starting, if I'm disabled, I start seeing problems from the entry point at the airport. Maybe there's a unique Nepali way of doing something that makes the guy feel so good about coming to Nepal that he doesn't feel disabled. Like for example, what if you brought this guy, and they call it, what did you say? You said they have that...
Ambulance.
They have an ambulance, but this is the first time I've heard that there's an ambulance in the airport. Okay? So every one of you should know that there's an ambulance at the airport, right? And your area of influence would be making a phone call saying, my so-and-so is coming, have that ambulance. He doesn't have to wait for 45 minutes in the bus, on the airport. We have to recognize these specialists, manage with proper accommodation, so there are seminars and all these things. So I'm kind of going to go kind of fast, but I just have about half an hour, don't mind. Okay? But the beauty of this whole thing is, you are so endowed. We are so endowed. I'm not going to say you, I'm going to say we. But I feel part of this too, okay? We are endowed. Geographically, historically, socially. Geographically, we have one of the most extraordinary scenery in the world, right? We have some of the most extraordinary adventures in the world, right? From wildlife to rafting to whatever you want to call it. Can't find it anywhere. Historically, we have all these fantastic heritage sites, right? We have the most simplistic people who can say, hey, it's a good, don't do it, right? They're never going to question you. So, and we have this cultural diversity in all kinds of forums, ethnicity, whatever you like to call it. Now, so we just have a jewel waiting to be picked by the tourism industry. It's just the jewel picked are the disabled people because they travel. They have money. A guy like me, 65 years old, if I want to really come to Nepal and I have to come on a wheelchair, I will not come if the accommodations aren't there. But if you are able to tell me, look, you come to my hotel, I can do this for you. I can go to your spa and get into the water, right? Gokarna, I will come. But if I'm in a wheelchair, I'm not going to come to Gokarna. I'll go somewhere else, right? Similarly, so this is what I got.